Good morning, everyone. Don't have the sun up yet. I'm still early. But look at the beautiful lake. That's a lake behind me. But it's connected to the river, so it's the same basic water. The birds were out earlier again during their fishing and gathering. And I'm watching, for the most part, little fish breach the water. I haven't seen anything big yet, although I have. We've got our fishing gear this time. I'm hearing the birds over there on the other side of the lake. Can't get close yet. Got to wait till we get the new heaven and earth, and then the animals will let us get close. First cup of coffee. Hasn't quite kicked in yet. Well, for today, this will go out tomorrow, so we'll find out how today went when we get into it. I'm taking my son down to one of my casting agencies that I work with and try to get him signed up. If he can just tag along with me on a project, and he can get paid for being there. We're just doing extra work. We're not doing acting yet. We do that on the weekend. This weekend coming up, I'm doing some more on this one project we've been working on here. And I've gotten my son involved a couple of times on that. And he likes it. It's make-believe. That's why we like acting. You know, as a kid, you'd get your gun or your put the towel around your back and play Superman. You know, as kids, you do whatever you can to make it make-believe. Well, this world is going to become make-believe here in a little bit. So we were warned about it. And there's going to be some major things that are going to be enticing. We're going to start off in Matthew. I'm going to throw in another verse. I didn't plan on this. You know a good many of these verses anyway, because I've been teaching on them for a while. So we're going to start in Matthew 24, our familiar, here's what's coming from Jesus. I'm going to start in Matthew 24:3, which will lead into where we're actually going to. Now, as he sat on the Mount of Olives, Jesus, the disciples came to him privately saying, we got him to ourselves now. Let's go ask him some important questions. I'm going to have some more coffee till I get this mouth woke up. Tell us when these things will be and what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age. These are his disciples. They're Jewish disciples. He's been teaching to the Jews. We're not talking rapture. Okay? And Jesus answered them and said, well, on the 15th of June, 2023, you're going to see this, and then you will know that I'm coming. No. In fact, it doesn't even really describe immediately. He doesn't really describe what's coming. What's coming is far worse than they could have imagined. They're going to have their city destroyed and the temple destroyed. They have no idea. He tried to tell them, but they won't listen. Take heed that no one deceives you is Jesus' first comment. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will deceive many. Okay, so deception is the key here. So let's turn over to 24:24. For false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders. We're not really seeing signs and wonders. God doesn't have to. Now, I'm not saying he's not doing miracles. He's doing miracles all the time. But he doesn't have to ring a bell and get your attention, which is what the signs and wonders do. He just does them in the background, fades away in the distance, and we go on happily, hopefully with him. But even if somebody gets a prayer that doesn't stay with them, it doesn't matter. God knows they will come around. Okay, so for false Christs and false prophets will rise and show great signs and wonders to deceive, if possible, even the elect. And then he says, see, I've told you beforehand, so you know that I know what I'm talking about. Great signs and wonders are coming. They asked about the end times. There will be great signs and wonders. And I'm not talking about the seals and the trumpets, although those would be included in that. But we have a history of signs and wonders coming from God. Now the thing is that most of the time his signs and wonders will be recognized by his people. Would have been the Israelites in the beginning, but now that we're into the New Testament, Christians would recognize them. The rest of the world may not. But the rest of the world's got their own Christ. And he will do signs and wonders too. It's going to be the repeat of the Moses and Pharaoh with his snake. They can turn staffs into snakes too. They don't win. God always wins. God always wins in a battle with him and Satan and anything. So that's not the problem. The thing is, he's trying to influence people. Well, God's trying to influence people. Satan's trying to influence people. Follow me. No, follow me. Look, I can do signs and wonders. Well, here, I can do signs and wonders too. You're not going to be able to know who's who by signs and wonders. You're going to have to listen to the Word, understand it, know it well enough that somebody who comes up with a false doctrine will stick out like a sore thumb to a Christian. Perversion 3:7. Has everybody read that one? I'm not even going to go into it. So, let's see what else we've got in here that talks about signs and wonders. They're all over the place. I didn't want to have so many that we'd be in these scriptures constantly without taking time to understand it. So let's turn to Mark. Mark 16:17. We're at the end of the book, last page for me. I'm going to start in 16 actually, so we're in context. Jesus speaking again. He who believes and is baptized will be saved, but he who does not believe will be condemned. And these signs will follow those who believe. In my name you will cast out demons. They will speak with new tongues. They will take up serpents. And if they drink anything deadly, it will by no means hurt them. They will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover. I am looking forward to some of those. I really am. I wish we could have them right now. We probably can. God just doesn't want... God's not flashy. He doesn't have to show all these things. Signs and wonders, in my opinion, are the decoration on the cake. But it's the cake itself you want. But we're going to get signs and wonders because the world's looking for it. So be careful that you're not deceived, because both sides will be able to go tit for tat on these. Let's go back to Isaiah 8. Old Testament now. And Isaiah 8 is talking about Assyria will invade the land. We just kind of talked about that reading Habakkuk, that the northern kingdom was destroyed by the Assyrians, and then the Babylonians then beat out the Assyrians and come down, and it took them 3 times to take Judah, but they did, and then they carted everybody off to Babylon. So that's in there, but where we're going to be is we're going to look at 8:18. Here am I and the children whom the Lord has given me. So this is talking about Israel at this point, or Israelis. Even though they were in Judah, it's still, we can call them all Jews because it's the same thing, but they didn't use that name back then. We understand it today. For here I am and the children whom the Lord has given me. We are for signs and wonders in Israel, from the Lord of hosts who dwell in Mount Zion. Eventually there will be 2 witnesses with signs and wonders. There will be the 144,000 with signs and wonders. They will have what it takes to win over those that, just won't accept things without a sign. And of course, if Jesus can do it, so can Satan. On earth. A fish jumped right. Where's my finger? Right back in there if you saw it. In the universe, God is more powerful than anything that Satan could imagine. So we don't have to worry about that, but Satan is the ruler of this world. He's down here for a purpose. He's down here to give people an alternative. If everybody was forced to go to God, accept Christ or I'm going to keep hitting you over the head. It's not how it works. Whether you do it with the physical book or whether you do it with the words, you can't truly win people over to God with force. It's not God's way. Satan's way is that way, and he'll use anything he can, any kind of fear he can. But we know that the people of Israel will be a prominent part of this last week of Daniel. But that's the way it works. It's not in our future, I don't think, because we think we'll be out of here. We've got to have the rapture coming really soon. They haven't released the Kraken yet. The rulers of this world haven't released the Kraken. It's going to happen shortly. They're going full-on digital currency next month. Now, how far that's going to go, we don't know. But it will be next month. Now, they're not going to come out and immediately hit us with the sign of the beast. We're not ready. We haven't been through trauma. There's going to have to be some major bad things happen that they're going to step in and save us from, quote unquote. God protects us through all of it. But then eventually we're going to get out of here. We're going to leave to turn the world over to Satan and his people, because the world continually rejects God. Look at what they're doing, what they're getting away with, what they're trying to get away with. California is trying to fight back, but they don't have any control over what's going on there because their elections have been illegal for a long time. For them to impeach and remove from office their governor, because they knew how bad he was. And for him to, at the next opportunity, run again and get elected again, that is not an honest system out there. And that's what they're trying to push across the whole country. They just don't have a foothold like they do there. California is Satan and the left's home base. They've got traveling bases, whether it's in Chicago or New York or any of these big cities where they have the Democratic foothold. Unfortunately, these aren't the Democrats of old. These are communists, these are socialists, these are perverted people who will do anything to stay in power. Ban guns, and yet they have the highest crime rate any place in the country. We know it doesn't work. Our founding fathers knew it wouldn't work. That's why we have protections. But they ignore the law. They find legal loopholes or just simply tie things up in court. Or we may find opposition buried in the sand in the desert of Nevada or someplace. They deal with opposition any way they can because they want to stay in power. Satan wants to stay in power, and he knows how to do it. Okay, let's turn from my final verse here. Let's turn to Hebrews. What? Making noise over there. Hebrews 2:4. Well, let me back up a little bit. Okay, I'm just going to go back to 2. Therefore, we must give the more earnest heed to the things we have heard, lest we drift away or are pulled away. For if the word spoken through angels proved steadfast, and every transgression and disobedience received a just reward, how should we escape if we neglect so great a salvation, which at the first began to be spoken by the Lord and was confirmed to us by those who heard him? God also bearing witness both with signs and wonders, with various miracles and gifts of the Holy Spirit, according to his own will. When Jesus was here, we saw his signs and wonders. We saw his healings, raising somebody from the dead, and not even himself, Lazarus, before him. And we saw the other people, whether it was the child or the woman that were sick in bed. Were they dead, or were they just healed of a deadly disease? We've seen him do these things, and he says, greater things than these you will do with the Spirit, as the Spirit wills. We can't command the Spirit. This isn't the Force. We're not in Star Wars. We can pray to the Spirit and ask the Spirit for miracles and signs and wonders. We need to start doing that. We need to start having an influence on the world. And the best influence is for signs and wonders. Now, the problem with signs and wonders, and it's why we probably don't have a lot, they draw attention to the person doing the signs and wonders. Jesus was allowed to have all these followers following him around because he was either feeding the 5,000 or he was healing the 5,000. He got their attention. If I could do signs and wonders, people would be looking at me, and I am not someone you want to follow. I'm a sinner. Yeah, I teach, and you watch my videos. But I don't do signs and wonders so far. I'm open to them. If I've only got a few minutes left on this world, give me some signs and wonders. I'd love to be able to do those. However, get me out of here so that I don't get a swelled head or people think I'm more than I really am. But there will be signs and wonders. We know that. The Bible says that. Jesus says that. And they will come from both sides. Excuse me. I still have my allergies. That would be a good sign. And a wonder for me, I don't have to tell anybody about it. God, take my allergies away. All right. Later today, I'm taking the prodigal with me downtown. We're going to go visit a casting agency, like I said earlier. See if I can get him signed up. There's a sign. We've only got the one car. He doesn't want to be in the United States. He wants to be in Peru. And he's going back. And we're raising money for it now. So if you can help his GoFundMe page, look in my description below. In order to go back, he has to raise money. He doesn't work here because he can't get a job knowing he's honest. He's not going to tell them that, oh yeah, I'll stay with you forever, or whatever, and it's not even mention it. No, he's only here for a couple, September sometime, going back. And they're still doing events, and he still raises money to help them. So look at his GoFundMe page. Help him out. Help me out if you feel the need. But God will take care of me one way or the other. Signs and wonders? Well, I hope so. The closer we get, the more likelihood that they will happen. We know that the two witnesses will have signs and wonders, but they will draw the attention to themselves. But they won't be in power very long. And they should have some experience with that kind of stuff if it's Elijah and Moses. Be ready. Signs and wonders from both sides. It will be fun to watch. Stay in the Word, because the signs and wonders are to draw you to them, opposite poles, and then they will give you the doctrine. One will be a true doctrine, one will be an anti-doctrine. And the anti-doctrine, Satan doesn't just come in and say absolutely evil things. He can, and he does sometimes, and we're seeing it in the world. He will come in and take a known verse and twist it just a little bit so it doesn't line up. It's going to sound good. We've heard the expression, God helps those who help themselves. Find that in the Bible, please. It doesn't exist in the Bible. Look it up and you'll find out who actually said it. Old Benjamin Franklin. So there's lots of things that can lead people off. It sounds good. Must be true. God doesn't lead people astray, only Satan. Okay. If you have anything for me to talk about, the last video I was on request. Just drop it in the comments. The one thing that I don't do is I don't argue with people. If you think what I'm talking about is wrong and you want to deride me on it, I won't even respond. I'm reading out of the scriptures. If I'm giving you my opinion, I'll give you my opinion. When I talk about a pre-trib rapture, you can't believe the arguments that people want to throw at me about a post-trib rapture. Well, there is one at the end, but that's not the first one. The first one's the pre-trib, which is due probably any time. We're not quite there yet. Like I said, they haven't released the Kraken, and when they do, that's when we're gone. But I, for the most part, have to get rid of post-trib believers, because the God that would take people all the way through the seals and the trumpets and the bowls, he's not my God. Now, there's probably 3 raptures. The first one is the one that the pre-trib, that's the one that gets picked up and put in the middle and also picked up and put at the end. But there's a total of 3. The big one is in the beginning. There are other ones. We have the 2 witnesses. We have the 144,000. And at the end, it's talked about when Jesus is coming back. The remainder will be raptured up. There's lots of talk in rapture. But what we've got to be careful on, and this is my final word on this, we have to be careful that we stay on topic. Our job is not to teach the rapture. Our job, although I talk about the end times, our job is to teach the gospel. If we're correct on the gospel and agree to disagree on anything else that's prophetic, then we can get along. But if your whole message is teaching a post-trib rapture, and you won't get off of that subject no matter what, take it and go somewhere else. You're misled. God's love won't make the church, his bride, go through that. Now, in my opinion, we're not going up in the rapture to a wedding. The wedding feast is at the end. In Revelation 21, I guess, 22. When the New Jerusalem is ready for us, then we'll have a wedding feast. But not till then. Why would you have it in the beginning when you've got a whole bunch of Christians coming that would miss it? He's going to hold it at the end, in the New Jerusalem. But we still get to go up with him. He's going to rescue us. That's why we have a rapture. So get out there, get the word out. Take the only thing you can take with you to heaven. The souls that you can help save. You don't save them. You help save them. God entrusts you to help save them. All right, until we meet in the clouds, God bless. The birds are out in their morning spot looking for food. Fish breaching there.